They've each received an A cinema score, meaning general audiences really liked them, and the vast majority of film critics have given them positive reviews. But the response from the most passionate set of fans has been extremely mixed. And I don't think this is as simple as hardcore Star Wars fans being more demanding. I think over the past 30 years, several factors added up to change the way Star Wars fandom works.
Do you see there's already holes in it?
Yeah.
So does that mean he set it up like several times trying to get this shot right or something?
Well, I guess.
Oh, I guess it was worth it. What do we want from a Star Wars movie on a pinboard?
First, the canonization of the original trilogy turned the stories into a rigid set of rules. Then the expanded universe created an expectation of backstory, plus it gave fans a timeline of events they would later be told to disregard. The special editions and
Is this really easier than just saying the writing got shit?
What do you mean by... What do you mean the canonization of the original trilogy?
Does he mean to say that it's set in stone as an IP? I don't know why you would say it that way, though.
Canonization, like, it's the first Star Wars thing. It is like canonity requires some notion of, like, you know, non-official material to go along with material that is recognized. When there was just Star Wars A New Hope, it is the canon, I guess, because there's nothing else.
Weird to refer to it as the original trilogy get canonized. It's like
it never had to get canonized because it always was just the canon, because it was the films.
Yeah, it's not the same process as, for example, someone writing a fan fiction and then Lucasfilm buying it and then canonizing it. If that would, yeah, it's weird way to say it, but all right, let's, you know.
Prequels created the mindset that the fans knew better than the creators. And of course, there was the huge gap of time between episodes 6 and 7, during which fans formed expectations for what they wanted to see. Over several decades...
Did you really write new trilogy on a post-it? What is the point? Does he want to come across as a crazy person for the meme? I don't know.
He wants to poison the world.
It's Star Wars fans became Star Wars experts. Fandom became an achievement built on an accumulation of trivia.
He's really going a little too far. But
yeah.
Even in the nerd circles, it's not like all of you guys are like, "Are you a Star Wars expert too?" It's like, no.
I don't know shit about Star Wars.
Chill. People can be fans of it without going to hyperspace.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Star Wars in passing.
Just watching the movies, it's like, yeah, that was a bad movie.
I wouldn't even say
Star Wars.
I don't know if I even call myself a fan of Star Wars when I think there's 2 good films out of the lot of them.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, and these movies they waited their whole lives for were expected to be a reward, something they had earned. When we
what?
So, am I like watching a fucking psychologist? Like, what is this? What is this?
You see, Star Wars fans felt they had earned the right to have good Star Wars movies, okay? We can't just be annoyed that we didn't get one, alright? That's way too simple.
we were younger and watching the original movies for the first time, our priority with each successive film was just to find out what happened next. But now, a lot of fans are going into a new Star Wars movie with a checklist, a list of...
You're like, yeah, now that I'm not a stupid kid,
I was going to say,
what, higher. Correct, yes.
Isn't he of the same set of people that say that Empire got shat on by loads of critics when it came out, and that if it came out today, Rian Johnson would have been equal to the amount of hate the director of that would have gotten?
But
like,
everyone loved Empire.
Well, that's my. So he's saying, like, you see, when the original trilogy came out, we were all just like waiting endlessly to just see what happens next. We don't talk to each other about like, I hope Empire's good, or I hope Empire does this, or blah blah blah. Even though, didn't he earlier say that Empire needed to do what the first one did, and then also, be what people expect from Star Wars, but then also change some stuff. So that. Plus the fact that he's one of the people who says that Empire would have gotten just as much hate as TLJ if it came out these days. So, like, it's not about... And the critics did. Hello Greeter's got a video where he looks like an old review of someone saying fucking Empire sucks. And it's like, see? See?
A single one?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Empire wasn't hated.
Listen, one's as good a sample size as any, really.
Yes. But then he's also going to say that the attitude back then was just, fuck it, let's just see what happens. I don't really care if it's good or not, I just want to see what happens.
I'm sure that most people who go into a movie want to know if it's good, but maybe that's just me.
No, man, this is all come with the internet that everyone's critical. You see, reviewers back then
I
didn't
would get
exist.
really frustrated when people are like, oh, Empire had a divisive reviews. It's like, but it's like, it's good though. that's all that I care about. Whether like Blade Runner got divisive reviews, it's good. The people who said it was bad were wrong. Same with The Thing. Like I don't care.
Yeah, the critics
Like,
love
these are
cuties.
good
I don't
films.
fucking care. I don't know what the point is.
Well, he's pointing out, because I think it's what Theo was talking about a little bit earlier, like, he's going to be saying that this attitude has risen as Star Wars has evolved. It's not something that was there before.
How is he meant to prove that, though?
Because I think he just wants us to accept that that's just the case when the OT came
like,
out.
he's
I
trying
don't think
to
that's
dive...
true at all.
I've only been watching for like a minute, and he's already trying to like ascertain the psychosis of like millions of people when they're coming in to watch Star Wars movies specifically. There's no way that he can make any claims. Like,
I used to
I
hear
just
someone use
I
the
don't
word
buy it.
ascertain.
A small part of it is he's not even accounting for like the sheer amount of time that's passed properly.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, even between singular installments in this franchise or what have you.
Like when people say the 80s music was great, when they're doing that with 40 years of time to weed out all the shit.
Yeah, they tend to view... Because we've done that every once in a while. Like, oh, the older times were better. It's like, we're not considering all of the shit of the older stuff at the time, usually. Though I will say, these past few years have been amazing for media, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Even for Empire, then for Return of the Jedi, then like on and on and on, people would have had expectations and would have been going in with a checklist. Because when you go to see things that are from a franchise that is established and that you may or may not be a fan of, you expect certain things about it.
I mean,
Otherwise,
everybody
you
has
wouldn't.
expectations, right? Like,
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't know what you're going in
Yeah.
for. You go and like, if you went into a Star Wars film and again it turned into some murder mystery
some
noir thing,
buddy cop film takes place in Brooklyn.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I expected Star Wars. This
What's the thing? I could totally end up seeing
That's
myself
what I
be
thought
like, man, this is a really good story, but what the fuck is it doing?
yeah, exactly. And that could, like, depending on, I don't know, your response to that, that could lead to a negative reaction. You're like, this isn't Star Wars at all, because you could be super let down or whatever, despite, like, regardless of the actual quality. So this is what I thought Patrick was going to talk about. I guess I was giving him too much credit. I know.
Imagine my shock.
Questions they want answered, scenes they want to see, and a strict set of rules the movie must adhere to based on a dogmatic interpretation of the original film. So most
Jesus.
It's dogmatic to
That's
assume
certainly
Luke
coloring.
cares about his family. That would be dogmatic. It's
Yeah,
dogmatic to say you can't use hyperspace as a weapon because it'll fuck everything up.
Yeah, it's clearly using some terminology here that's very loaded.
Well, this is
Yeah,
just him
it's like-
expressing his fucking hatred for, like, TLJ anti-fans, if you want to call them that.
Like they
Why
just
is it in black and
dogmatically
white?
don't want these new things to directly contradict the old things.
why is this video in black and white?
Because he's an
Because it's fucking
artist.
art. 'Cause it's- yeah,
You don't
he's an
understand.
artist.
You probably haven't even seen The Lighthouse.
Most of the fan complaints about The Last Jedi are the points where the movie does not connect to the trivia they've learned. So
The trivia.
The trivia. Yeah, like Luke's character is just trivia.
This reminds me
Fuck
of fucking Quentin being like, you know, world, plot, characters, all fan stuff.
Bad stuff.
It's not what the movie is. It's about how did it make you feel.
they don't like new force powers that we haven't seen before. They don't like the speed at which Rey's skills grow because
No, it's not
it's
that
not
it's a new force power, it's that it fucks with shit.
Dude, the speed at which Rey's fucking strength grows, like, what, you mean binary? Like, I love the idea that he thinks that she goes from, like, she's, like, progressing. It's like, fuck off.
Should training rest go?
She selectively degresses temporarily just to... never fuck it.
exactly how it happened for Luke. They don't like Leia
What?
using the Force
Exactly how it
Oh my
happened.
god.
No.
Luke got his ass kicked in
And
the
it-
second movie.
Anakin wasn't the same as Luke. Anakin took way longer. So how do you explain
Well,
that
yeah.
we're not... How come everyone's not fucking raging about that?
Again, this fucking video is a thinly veiled masquerade to defend the sequel trilogy.
Listen, I'm going to be
There's
objective.
nothing about what do we want from Star Wars about it.
I'm going to be objective, but TLJ's great. Like, all right.
I'm
Shut
sure
up,
in his
Hack.
mind this is objective. Like I checked this once 5 years ago. I don't know. It's like insane. It was exactly the same. How would you even say that when you do an objective analysis? Just
Well,
fuck off.
you know, what I want to do is, because this was made before his tweet, obviously, about Rise of Skywalker, where he said, fuck J.J. Abrams. I want to put that on screen, and then be like, this is a fan who dogmatically clings to the past. Like, won't accept that things can change. You're a piece of shit.
I just find it very frustrating that we're watching a video that's talking about movies where the vast majority of it is a person trying to figure out what millions of people secretly believe with no evidence and no qualification to do so.
He's nailed it. You're just sad that he's got your number.
That's now 30 years ago. They don't like Snoke's lack of backstory because it doesn't give them the explanations they want.
Yeah,
It's a pretty important explanation.
You nailed it,
my dude. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah?
wanting
Sure.
I want an
explanations.
explanation. After
you-
Return of the
can
Jedi, I need some fucking answers, my dude.
Can you get all that
No,
poison
mate.
out of the well, please?
Wanting explanations, the sign of a dogmatic fan.
Some loaded shit right there.
Well, it's getting to the point of parody, because if you're sitting down and talking to him about the movie, and you're like, man, it was so weird that, like, Snoke, we just got nothing on that. Wasn't it? What do you think? And he's like, what, you wanted an explanation? And you're like, yeah?
Yeah.
You sort of owe it to like the original trilogy to explain what the fuck's going on.
And then he's gonna be like, well, you know, he was in like a pod. He was made by the Emperor. What?
Duh.
They don't like
JJ,
Luke's
no.
characterization because that's not where he was last time we saw him. And they really don't like the Finn and Rose subplot because it's about new characters in a new setting, so it doesn't connect.
Yes, that is
New
it.
char-
It was new characters in a new
that's
new
setting.
fine.
characters, new setting.
Nailed it.
That's why everyone hated the prequels. Nobody liked how it brought us to different places with different people. Everyone hated that. People wouldn't fucking stop bitching about Endor because it was a new place and there were new people there.
I just like the idea
Yeah,
as well.
better
that
material.
he didn't even strawman there, because Strawman usually vaguely resembles the point you'd made. It's like, oh, you don't like new people in new places. You're like, where did you even like? What?
He's just vanished. You look him up and he's in like Mexico fighting someone there.
Just a single
Wait, what?
straw, and he's like, this is kind of like you. No.
To the lore of the original movies in any way. What it seems like these fans want
Connect
isn't
to
a
the
story,
lore.
it's a Wikipedia
No, we wish it connected to the lore in some way. That's what we want.
Is that what all this comes to? The fucking argument where they're like, oh, Muller wants a whole movie before the movie to explain everything that came before it. It's like,
I mean, sure.
I'll take it.
I'll take that.
Please show me a movie that explains why everybody forgot about the whole fucking things.
I feel like you could
30 years.
you could repair a lot of the sequel trilogy if you had a trilogy between it and the OT. Not that you
I mean,
want to. I just
the
mean
story
you
still
could.
probably wouldn't be that great.
No, of
but,
course,
like,
because it destroys
this world
itself.
would be.
But I mean, especially with Rise of Skywalker. But I mean, like, if we just had TFA, for example, we could probably do a lot of repairing by making a story between. Fuck, we could have. Imagine, like, crazy idea: Han, Leia, and Luke in the same room. What do you think?
Yeah, that'd
What?
be cool.
That's just fan stuff.
Oh,
article. They want plot, information, and payoffs to reward their accumulation of trivia. They want Snoke to be Darth Plagueis.
No, we just don't want it to
No.
contradict.
I don't
Let's
fucking
start
care
there.
if he's Darth Plagueis or not. I just wanted to make sense.
Our bar is so low.
Yeah, we don't. We're not asking for a lot. Just saying.
We just want it to make sense and not contradict stuff.
And that just goes back to the question I would want to ask him specifically. What does he want from a Star Wars movie? He still needs
He
to...
wants TLJ, mate.
He wants it filmed on a certain type of camera on real sets.
Oh.
He wants
it to
challenge what Star Wars means.
Disgusting.
So good about knowing who Darth Plagueis is. I have a theory that the Rosetta Stone for this whole thing, the key to what many fans want from a new Star Wars movie,
Rosetta
is this.
Stone. What is that?
No, he's gonna do the
No.
thing. He's gonna do the thing.
The Darth Vader scene from the end of Rogue One. If you do what I did and search through comments on Twitter or YouTube from people who aren't fans of The Last Jedi, this scene gets
I read
brought up
all
the
of
most
those
as
in
the high
10 seconds, sure.
I mean, yeah, most people really like this scene, but I don't have to argue it's strictly I like seeing Vader kill people. I can argue other things. Like how much
Yeah.
sense it makes.
Yeah, this is entirely in character for the Rebels and Darth Vader and for just fucking everything involved makes
Well, I mean,
total.
It's a nice
This,
look into the universe that we see at the start of A New Hope.
I think that this scene is kind of like what you're gunning for, right? Where it both makes sense and is something really cool that you know people will enjoy. If you can
Which-
nail both of those,
I think
things,
is the
then you're doing a really
perfection-
good job.
Of fan service. That's like the best kind of fan service. When you know it's here to make us happy, but also it makes sense.
Yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure that's like Gareth Edwards said, like someone just suggested that they put this scene in. It wasn't in the original script, and they were like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool idea." And they're like, and it's easily like like everyone's top pick for best Disney moment in all of Star Wars from Disney's era.
yeah, it's the best scene they've ever made in those movies.
I
that
don't
have come
think it's
since.
close.
And the two arguments, I think that this is kind of like the two takes you can have from it. I remember, I can't remember if this was RLM's take, but some people feel it's like, no, you've ruined the mystique of Vader. We always knew he was, this, that, and the other, but showing this is too overt. It's like it's taking away what was so intimidating about him. Now he's just like a psycho that did actually just rip people down. But I just be like, I kind of felt like this earns his fear. Like everybody's terrified of him because he's the horrifying monster that just tears people down in scores because he's
They can't
incredibly
stop him.
yeah. And I think it does actually work better if you see this scene after the OT rather than before it. But I think it could work both ways. I don't know.
I think after you've got the knowledge of who he is, so you're kind of in the same position as the Rebels. You know who he is, but you're aware of what he can do, but you've never had to see it firsthand. And then the scene plays out. I think it works really well.
Also, it's so just gasm worthy. The darkness and the smog, and then it's just the lightsaber. It's
The
like
lighting,
oof.
yeah, it's good stuff.
But he's going to be like, this is all the fans want. It's like Vader killing people. It's like, yes, Willems, that's all we want. That's it.
point of the new movies. And you'll see people saying things like, they should have given us the Luke equivalent of the Darth Vader hallway scene. But while a fun moment, it's essentially
one
empty. It doesn't add anything to the story.
Oh, so it adds nothing to the story that Vader just massacres a series of rebels over trying to do something for the Empire. That adds nothing to the overall world of the story. Gonna hard disagree on that one.
Yeah.
Our character. It's like an HD remake of a PlayStation 1 game. That thing you...
What? Oddly
It
specific.
is nothing alike.
That is an interesting comparison to jump to.
Weird flex.
What point is he making here? I want to know.
Who fucking knows?
What did he say? A remake of a PS1 cutscene?
No, I have a game like
HD
I think he's-
remaster of a PS1 game.
I mean, but he's showing footage of a remake, so he's definitely talking about like a remake, not
Mhm.
just a remaster.
It's the
Well,
same comparison.
Let's see what he
Let's see what his point
means.
is.
already like what you expect, but shinier. While the original trilogy is so...
But it's a
It's-
totally different game.
I was about
and
to
it
say, I didn't even play it. That remaster is completely different. What
Also,
Yeah,
there are
from what-
plenty of
from what I
people.
understand it's very different.
There are plenty of people who would say the Luke Vader fight scene in Empire is better than the hallway scene, right? In terms of, there are plenty of people who would
In
argue
terms
like
of story,
visually
yeah.
and story and their investment and the intimidation factor. Like there's loads to talk about. The idea that it's shinier, I'd just be like, what do you mean? Like, see, I don't know. Things just look. I don't know.
so often treated as the perfect standard to which all new
But
Star Wars
that
must be
argument
held.
does not make sense, actually, that because people don't like it when the original movies got the special effects added in and everything.
Yeah, wouldn't that
So-
be a shinier argument?
Yeah, exactly. But nobody wants them to touch the original trilogy. They like it as it is, so it's not analogous at all. That was a bad thing to bring up.
Also, is this
And he
like
brought that up earlier in his video before you arrived.
is this the answer to the question? By the way, what we want from Star Wars is the same but shinier.
nostalgia.
No, because that's kind of what. That's
Well, I
kind
mean-
of what ruined the.
I mean,
the
from his
sequel
perspective.
trilogy. They wanted. Does that even make sense? Because a lot of people don't like what
Well,
they did with the world, and
I
what
mean-
they did with the world was just copy the OT.
He's going to ignore the counter information, and you can tell why he's doing this. He's putting himself above these kinds of fans. Like, you guys just want the same shit, and you want it to be all special and action packed and stuff. While I want challenge. I want Star Wars to be redefined. I want its structure to be challenged. I want intellectual fucking content.
Yeah, well, I want you to fuck off.
I
Oh my
guess we're just
God.
watching. I guess we're watching movies wrong.
Oh, it all comes back to this.
but shinier. While the original trilogy is so often treated as the perfect standard to which all new Star Wars must be held,
That totally makes sense when the prequels are completely fucking different and they have like a legion of fans. He even said the prequels like feel completely different, but this is the standard. Everyone, you've got to make it. Maybe he's trying to account for the fact that Force Awakens did well, but TLJ didn't. He's like, you see, it's because TFA is like a new hope, and that's what fans want.
they share so many
Sure.
of the things people complain about in the new movies. Luke goes from a farm boy who's never left his home to a Force-using X-Wing pilot who blows up the Death Star in about a day.
He could X-Wing pilot in the beginning.
Also, it wasn't a day. But
And why was Obi-Wan Kenobi the Rebellion's only hope? Leia had never even met him. What did she expect him to do? The Empire Strikes Back barely
Her
advanced.
parents knew him.
Yeah, and he's a
Her
Jedi.
parent. Did you not watch Revenge of the Sith? I know it's the least of. I know. Oh, by the way, Frankie, he rated the Star Wars movies. Revenge of the Sith is his last. It's the worst.
really, even
Yeah.
though it's absolutely the best of the prequels.
Yeah, absolutely. But
No, it's
yeah,
the worst of them.
you should probably watch
Okay.
that again because Revenge of the Sith directly explains how Leia would know who Obi-Wan is.
Like, I don't. So, what was his listing then? Was it just that he said that was because I'm curious now. What was his
Prequels
list
are all
of
at the
movies?
bottom.
Okay,
went-
right. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's expected.
I feel like
but,
it makes sense to call on Obi-Wan when he was the one who trained and kind of almost killed Darth Vader previously. Like, man, it'd be
Her
pretty
parents
useful.
would have absolutely told her about
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Remember, they were technically in the same room together. I mean, it was Obi-Wan who brought. I mean, who had what was his name? Bail Organa.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
take her to Alderaan.
Bail Organa?
Advances the overall of the series. Most of it is spent with characters either running away or hanging out on a swamp. They hype up a legendary
That
Jedi
is,
warrior who turns out to be a silly Muppet who steals
Hanging
food.
out.
What are we doing here?
He's not a silly Muppet.
He's
That was
doing,
an act.
he's
you fucking
doing he's
asshole.
doing the thing where he says that the sequels do what the prequels do. Not the prequels. The OT.
I just want to
Because he's
appreciate
like,
that.
oh,
He's
look-
not a silly Muppet. It's an act, you asshole.
Yeah.
Han and Leia stay on the run for a couple days, while Luke appears to be training for weeks. New Force ability.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is
How-
doing the thing where he's trying to twist around that the time scale. And also they weren't on the run for days, they were hiding out in that cave for a while.
I was just going to say, the word seems is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, isn't it?
Yeah, as opposed to what we know about this TLJ, where the chase only lasts like a couple days at most. We know that for sure.
Abilities just appear through all the movies without us ever seeing the characters learning them. The
Yeah, he's doing the thing.
So,
He's very
the two examples he's
sneakily.
got of powers that we've never seen before, never been seen learn them. One is the fucking electric power from the Emperor, which, by the way, I think we can accept that one of the most powered and feared and oldest Force users has a power that others have not yet mastered. Like, I think that's
Well,
more
part-
than fair to assume.
think-
No way.
Part of it is that by the time that we get up to the Emperor, how many people have we seen that know the Force? 4 people? 5. That's it. We have 5. We have a sample size of 5. By the
Yeah,
time we're in
and-
the sequel trilogy, we have a sample size of dozens of named characters and hundreds of Jedi.
And
So
he's
when
using-
one of them suddenly has a new power, it's weird.
And it's dark side tisms, the implication being that you get a lot of power access from like pain and darkness and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense that he's got a power that we've not seen from the others. Secondly,
Yeah, well-
Force Pull is not a new power. Stop saying it's a new power. Everyone fucking reviews these films in a sense of trying to rip on them in the same way that the sequels get ripped on. Like, Luke just pulls his power out of nowhere. Since when was forced telekinesis a thing? And for some reason, forced choke gets separated out as just this. No, that's not forced telekinesis. That's a specific move in the Force that chokes people's throats. It's like, what do you mean? Well, if you read the EU, it's this whole discipline where you choke someone using not telekinesis, just forced choke. Fuck off.
That's like taking a baseball bat and saying that hitting a window and hitting a wall are two different powers.
The implication was that he helped guide the rockets with the Force. That would be telekinesis again. Stop it.
The first 40 minutes of Return of the Jedi have zero impact on the story or characters beyond just getting Han back.
Oh, well, that's kind of a big fucking deal, don't you think?
That is not the problem with the first 40 minutes, that all it does is get Han back. It's like, what do you mean all? Like, what?
I mean, but really, all they really accomplish at the end of A New Hope is blowing up the Death Star. So really, I mean, you might as well just skip it, honestly. It's all they did.
I can't believe you just said all they did was get Han back. What the fuck? Trying to compare it to Canto Bight as if like it's remotely comparable.
He is desperate. Oh yeah, rescuing Han, that's no big deal, but Canto Bight was very, very impactful, very, very meaningful to Star Wars. It's essential that we had we really, really had to go to Canto Bight. Han should have just rotted in carbonite.
I don't think he's comparing it to Canto Bight. I think he's comparing it to whatever happened.
Well, earlier on, he was praising Canto Bight.
Yeah, what I'm suggesting, I think he brought that up as a sly comparison. Like, you know, there's all these problems with the OT, but we're ignoring them because you know, we love the OT. But simultaneously, he's bringing up points that can be stapled, like new powers coming out of nowhere. You know what he's referencing with that, right? It's the fucking forced telephone shit in the new films. Oh, a B plot that's totally pointless. It's like Canto Bight. It's like, yeah, but that's not. First of all, it's the A plot. But the fact that they save Han's life compared to doing fuck all in Canto Bight, like you can't. I think that's what he's trying to get at in a subtextual sense. That's what I'm saying. Because he wants to bring up the OT suffers from all the problems we bring up that are in the sequels, and so then he's going to be like, so why don't people hate them as much? And like,
the problem is that what he's doing here is super dishonest.
He's probably not even aware of that.
Uncharitable.
Well, besides, he doesn't even think these are actual problems because he doesn't consider the things he's bringing up to be problems in the sequels. He's just trying to point out a hypocrisy, I think.
For the final of the entire war, a lot of time is spent on wacky hijinks with Ewoks. The revelation that Leia is Luke's sister was clearly a late addition to the story, and she's given no...
different part
I would like to note, though, that I like how he's trying to say, well, you know, Luke being Leia's sister, that was a last-minute thing. It's like, yep, that is not as bad as... You're important. You're no one. You're important. You're no one. No, you're important. You're Palpatine's kid. Gotcha. Like they didn't change their mind in each film.
At least when they say he's got a sister, they stick with it.
Yeah, they don't give it up. In fucking the next trilogy, like, no, sister, like, figuratively.
No.
Closure with her father, let alone a single scene, which really lets down the promise of there is another. Also, they couldn't think of anything more original than just another Death Star. And by the way, there is a lot.
Okay, so I don't even know if we're supposed to be addressing these. So, first of all, whether or not you want to criticize it from like a broad meta storytelling standpoint, like, should we really have another Death Star? Like, it makes total fucking sense that the Emperor would want to make another Death Star after what just happened in Episode 4.
Yep.
This was being used to essentially hold the entire galaxy hostage, and then they blew it up. It's like, fuck, can we make another one? It's like, if we can get back what we just lost. So narratively, it all flows.
Like, wouldn't it be funny? A war movie, another, what's it called?
They blew up one of. Yeah. They blew up one of our tanks. I guess we're never gonna make one again.
Well, this is what I mean. Like,
not very good if this one got blown up.
Fight with that, I guess, is that at that point wouldn't because I remember there was something of a disagreement. Like, okay, do we want this big Death Star thing or more Star Destroyers? Right.
Well,
I feel like
they've clearly got.
One goes kaput,
they've clearly got Star Destroyers, like a lot of them.
I mean, more can't hurt.
No, but it's not going to be the
Galaxy's
same.
a really big place.
Not the same
Yeah,
as
but
a
they can't
Death
blow up
Star.
planets.
They don't need to blow up a planet.
But having the power to
being
blow
able
up
to
a
blow
planet
is
what's
yeah.
keeping the galaxy hostage. It's
But it's also what incites them against them to an extent.
well, that's
I think
done.
that's
We already had
We're-
that.
Yeah, we're talking. That's done. That's happened. That's episode 4. We're talking about episode 6. Like, why would they have done this? Like, well, the toothpaste is out of the toothpaste holder.
Right.
Toothpaste holder.
The point being is like the whole world's like, wow, you guys are fucking assholes, and it's like, oh, you don't have your giant laser. It's like, no, we do. Get it back up. Get it back up.
I can see that, and like, yeah, it does make sense. I'm just saying it is worth considering still that, you know, a fuckload of Star Destroyers does a similar thing without putting as many eggs in the same basket.
People will react differently to the idea of being subjugated by the Empire when they arrive with Star Destroyers, and the idea of their entire planet being destroyed.
Constantly at risk, because that thing can shoot them
Yeah,
after
always.
just jumping.
Yeah, fair.
I think it makes enough sense, but I understand the criticism of being like, I don't want to see them destroy another Death Star. Lame. It's like, okay.
That's
well.
not even where I was trying.
No,
to...
I know.
Plus,
Oh.
they even used the fact that this would draw out the rebels as part of the plan in episode 6.
I'm not saying running it back is necessarily wrong. I just think perhaps they could have considered, why don't we just go for more Star Destroyers after that, considering the giant weakness that thing had? Who's to say this one
Well,
won't blow up?
wouldn't it
just
make
as-
more sense to
I
just
don't know.
remake it without the weakness?
Assuming such a thing is possible, yeah.
Well, as Family Guy put it out, just put planks of wood over the cover, and you'd be like, that'll be better than nothing.
Space plywood,
that'll stop
space
it.
stucco.
As for the other one, though, the disappointment of There Is Another, it's like, but There Is Another is more so, I thought, to give us a sense that, oh shit, Obi-Wan and Yoda haven't actually put all of their investment in Luke. If Luke was to die, it's not over for them. And quite a perfect thing to put right before Luke's about to be killed by Vader, potentially. I think it works for, you know, dramatizing the stakes. I don't know that it was necessary to have that fleshed out, that option.
Sure.
So I don't. Yeah, it's just a different story at that point rather than a loss.
A lot of silly comedy through all these movies.
Yeah, but these are really funny.
Yeah, that puppet hitting that puppet is legitimately fucking funny.
Yeah,
Well, these old movies are
Han
funny.
on the
man.
intercom in the prison room is fucking gold.
Yeah, everyone loves that
fine
fucking bit.
now. How are you?
How are you?
Things fine. Things are fine. How are you?
And Yoda just scuttling through all of his stuff, picking out the light, smiling at it, and then R2-D2 tries to take it off, and he's like, "Fuck off! This is my light."
He's in with his stick. Fucking funny.
And this is the thing. It's not like there's TFA had a joke or two that landed. TLJ was miserable, and then Rise of Skywalker. Did that make us? I think I laughed. It was one of C-3PO's moments. I think.
Oh yeah, C-3PO made me laugh like 3 times. C-3PO's great.
So
He's the best part of that movie.
funny.
Unironically, the best part of the Rise of Skywalker is C-3PO.
Yeah, he is, I think.
But I would
That's
say, because
tragic.
again, I feel like he's saying this to try and account for the fact that the criticism is they made a Yo Mama joke, Patrick. That's very different, okay?
No, that would totally stall the Empire.
But you see,
Yo Mama joke.
It all comes under the category of, funny joke, silly joke. See, there were silly jokes before. Look how something fell on Han's head. That's silly too.
I got a question real quick. This still right here where we're looking out the window, is this the remastered where they have the Slave 1 out in the window, or was that in the original?
And it looks like a matte painting, so I'd assume it's in the
Yeah,
original.
it does, yeah.
Well, at least you're still in one piece. Look what happened to me.
Last week, Pablo Hidalgo from the Lucasfilm Story Group
Oh my God.
posted this tweet.
Oh, why yellow? Why yellow?
I often think how lucky we are that the best stuff came out when we were the most impressionable. You do get that everybody was of a different age.
Yeah.
Is he trying to say that we, because we were so impressionable, we think that things were really better than they were, so we like to think that the best things came out when we were the most impressionable.
I think,
even though
well,
they
I
were
mean,
really the best
one way to
things.
read this is it's really good that when you're young, you were exposed to a lot of good content because
Yeah,
your
maybe-
standards are set very high.
Maybe I agree with this statement. Maybe
Yeah, I think I agree
agree
with
that even though I was a child, meaning I could be satisfied by a lot of shitty things, it turned out the stuff I was actually being provided, be it classic Simpsons, you know, the Alien, Predator, and Terminator franchises,
Drama,
Star Wars, fucking all these different things. Like, it's like, oh, lucky I did. Like, Jurassic Park, yeah, these things were actually good, as well as me being impressionable. It's like, yeah, maybe I agree with him. Now it's shit. And we're not impressionable.
Let's see where he's going with it.
I'd
think
say
about
it's very important that all of us, you know, we got to remember that maybe the stuff we saw when we were very, very young that left an impression on us, maybe it wasn't actually as good as we remember. So,
I think we're fast approaching the hot take. So,
Oh, yeah.
what hot takes?
we
That's
did.
just life advice. We should all keep. You know,
We've done the
taking
Clone
part.
Wars one, Fringy, which means you'll be up next, because the third hot
okay.
take will be later.
all right.
And yes, I will
Yeah.
still hold to why yellow.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't. If you're
Why?
making all of you people out there who want to make videos, fucking don't. Just don't.
Piss cow all over it.
Gray, black, a dark blue, dark gray, something, not yellow. Just don't.
how lucky we were that the best stuff came out when we were the most impressionable. And honestly, I could have just made this video a 15-minute screenshot of that tweet.
No,
What?
you couldn't have.
No,
I
you.
guess you're probably going to say that
Because
what
we
that
would have-
guy's saying is wrong.
Yeah, there are multiple interpretations of what he's saying and what he's referring to and why he is and his explanation for it.
Yeah, because plenty of people. Whatever. Yeah, that.
Because it kind of says it all. So the fans who hate The Last Jedi, who say it's a bad Star Wars movie, that it ruins the series, I'm not saying they're watching movies wrong. There's no wrong
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, are you retconning your own lore here? What's going on?
Oh, it's a classic.
way to watch a movie. Well, okay, you could watch it while texting the theater, that's wrong. But it's not that these people are watching movies wrong, it's that in these movies, they're looking for something they can't get.
They're looking for something they can't get. We can get good
all I
movies.
want is a good story. That's really all.
Don't
I
you
care
see?
about.
You want the OT. You can't get it. It's locked away in the past.
If what you were saying actually had anything to do with expectations for Star Wars, then maybe, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
They want to give them the experience of being 8 years old, sitting on their living room couch and wearing out their VHS tape.
Well, this is
Shut
great
up.
because Crash Bandicoot 4 came out like 2 days ago, and playing it was like it was great. It felt like, you know, being a kid again, just playing like Crash 2
Okay.
back in the late 90s. And it's funny, right? It's like, well, you're chasing a feeling that can't happen again. It's like, well, I mean, it's not just like that game. There are a lot of things that have done that. All it needs to be is good. That's it. That's really all I need.
Well, yeah, this dichotomy is flying all over the place here. Like, as if you can. How does he explain TFA when his whole argument was how that's what it did, and it was successful? Like they get it. They're chasing something they can't get. It's like you said the TFA gave them it, so I don't know.
Tapes of the original movies. For many people, Star Wars is less a movie than a feeling that new movies, seen as an adult, can't possibly recreate.
What about TFA? You
Yeah.
said that's what it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already said that's what it did. It felt like Star Wars. It had the feel.
Unless you get a time machine and go forward to the year 2020 or later and buy the new trilogy on Blu-ray, then transfer the movies over to VHS tapes, then hop back in the time machine and travel back to the mid-90s or whenever you were a kid and give them to yourself. Strip away the anticipation and expectations and the need for backstory and rules until they're not new Star Wars movies. They're
You fucking kidding me right now? You think people would have been happy with
Wow,
them back
I have
then?
no idea what my stupid kid brain would say back then, and this is the biggest conjecture of the what if game that I've seen. all
Dude,
week.
I'm almost certain my kid brain would have been really fucking annoyed with what they did with Luke.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have liked it either.
No, wait, isn't he saying that you show this to yourself before you watch the OT?
I think what he's
No,
saying
no,
is that
no.
as a kid, you would like it. It would give you the same feeling.
He's suggesting that back then we didn't have
it.
restrictions. We would have just accepted it. It would have just jumped. Because he had the whole sequence of the problems of the OT. implying that if we were to be treating the OT the same way that we treat the sequels, we wouldn't like them either, kind of. But obviously the OT benefits from having been watched when we were super young, which if we did that with the sequels, we were to convert them to VHS and watch them when we were kids, we would have liked them. It's like, which I don't even think is true, but even if it were true, what does that mean? That like we wouldn't be able to look back and be equally as critical? Because we've done that with the OT.
I think that my very, very young kid brain would have liked TFA but hated The Last Jedi. So that's that thought. Let's carry on.
They're just Star Wars. Now, most of what I've been...
Wait, was that supposed to... Did we skip?
No, that's.
Are we done? Is that...
Wait, that was it?
Are we going to address the question now?
Well, I think that's his answer.
Did we miss something?
What you want from a Star Wars movie is the originals, but you can't have that.
Yeah, I can watch the originals.
Well, you can't have that from a new movie, even though he already said in this video that TFA was that, so I'm interested that he's not addressing that at all.
It's the most juvenile understanding of franchise expectations I've ever seen.
No, he's right. He's totally right. That's it.
Okay. Never mind, sorry.
Anticipation and expectations and the need for backstory and rules until they're not new Star Wars movies. They're just Star Wars. Now,
So if we got Luke from TLJ and then the OT came out as the prequels,
I don't think
then I would wonder what the fuck happened.
It's not that it needs to be watched before or after the OT. It just needs to be watched around the same time you watched the OT as a kid. He's trying to argue that anything you saw back then got a free access pass into your brain as good content.
No,
I know.
movies
I
I
know.
didn't like.
I know. There were things I hated as a kid. Like I don't know what you mean.
Asparagus, yum.
Most of what I've been talking about really just applies to a certain section.
Okay, let's be fair. Asparagus is fine. It's okay. But I think Brussels sprouts, I think they get a bad rap, and I don't think that it's deserved.
I don't like them.
I think
like
well-seasoned and grilled Brussels sprouts, I think they're legit delicious, and I like them quite a bit. And I like them.
It tastes like death.
You taste like death. No.
Yeah, they're good shit. Brussels sprouts are some good shit. I legitimately enjoy them quite a bit.
I should buy some. That's actually a good idea. Thanks, Rags.
It tastes like
they
old
slice them in
death.
half and they season them a bit and then they put them in a pan and grill them up and man, it's good stuff.
It tastes like death, but snotty too.
They really don't. Snotty.
Ew.
Brussels sprouts.
You might have cooked them wrong.
Snotty old death.
Of Star Wars, and just because they've learned the most trivia about the lore doesn't make their opinions more valid or more important.
It's not trivia.
Star Wars
like that's the thing. We can't do this. We can't do this Hello Greedo maneuver where we're like, oh yeah, the hyperspace kamikaze is just a nitpick. It's just trivia.
Well, once they classify every single fucking thought you have about it as trivia, they could make you trivial.
Yeah.
Basically, this is just an outgrowth of label and dismiss. There's no argument.
Well, it's just funny because if you cordon off every single thing we talk about as trivial, it's like, what are you left with? It's like, that spaceship in the distance over there, that planet that we don't know the name of. All right, because we've lost everything else.
Is a popular thing in the world, and it means so many different things to so many different people.
Well
to
done.
the kids who grew up with the prequels and Clone Wars cartoon, the recent converts won over by the new emphasis on strong female protagonists.
Oh yeah, I had
The recent converts won over. What are you?
What's happening?
And diversing. The old people who have been around for this entire thing since it started in the 70s. And my group, maybe the biggest or at least the most vocal. The ones born between 1980 and 1992. The ones too young to see the original trilogy in theaters, who grew up with them on VHS. So what do we want from a Star Wars movie?
Please tell us.
I think that's a question worth asking ourselves. As
Wait, your fucking video title that?
He Mark Browned us. I knew it. He Mark Browned us.
Fucking worthless YouTuber. I swear the only productive thing that some people are is a bad example.
What do we want from a Star Wars? Maybe we should think about that.
Yeah, that's a
Who
good
knows?
question.
Maybe you weren't fucking around for the last 17 minutes. We could have gotten an answer.
Hey, right, he had to give all of that. What the fuck was the point of that history lesson? Seriously, it was like the weakest and quickest.
Vast as Star Wars is, trivia and lore as there is to learn about, the reason we all fell in love with it in the first place is the story. Star Wars is a...
What else would there
The
be?
story, the characters, the spectacle, all of it.
Of course we
You
fell in
told
love
me
with the
that
story.
You told me that people didn't like the prequel trilogy because of primarily audiovisual things.
That's true. He also said the characters were not relatable or whatever, right?
Yeah.
above all else, a big, sprawling, ongoing story, and like it or not, that story is going to keep on going. And if it's going
Unless it doesn't make money anymore.
It's gonna keep going until it doesn't make as much green.
Also, he says this as if he needs to meet his future self who's seen Rise of Skywalker. He's like, it's gonna keep going, whether you like it or not. He's gonna be like, Patrick, seriously, it's not good. It gets really bad, Patrick.
If I could make a time machine after I've seen The Rise of Skywalker, take it, get my time machine, go back, give it to myself before I made this video, would I make this video?
No, because I'd like it, because that's...
Because I have no self-awareness. I have the self-awareness of a bag of gravel.
He becomes the very thing he wants to destroy as soon as he sees Rise of Skywalker. It's funny to see pre-Rise of Skywalker Patrick, because he's so on the top of the world. He's like, I get it. I get Star Wars. The new one comes out, and he's like, fuck you, Star Wars. You got it all wrong.
This new direction of Star Wars will keep going on, and it's amazing, and I get it.
Then suddenly, his Halloween was stolen by Trump.
2019.
going to be meaningful, continue to entertain new generations, it can't just feed us nostalgia. It can't just recycle elements from the movies we grew up with. It needs to surprise us. It needs to...
What's this shitty, like, Chariots of Fire, like, rip-off version? What is this? What's happening?
It's so funny. He treats it like this big revelation and this coming together moment. It's so warm and fun. And it's like, we did it, guys. That arduous 17 minutes we just got through, we've done it.
Grow, to show us new sights and characters and stories we haven't seen before.
TFA, a great example of a story we've not seen before.
Yeah, never seen a world-destroying thing before.
Never seen New Hope, but shit. So, how about that?
Part of why I love...
because they destroy 5 at once.
Oh my god, 5.
Oh,
Because 6 would be too many.
That would be insane.
Loved The Last Jedi was that it gave me what I wanted, but also what I didn't know I wanted. It took the elements that
No, what the translation for Patrick for he decided after the fact that it was good, and he had to justify that it was good and amazing. He knew. I think a lot of these people know that they were not allowed to not like this.
What, TLJ?
It's one of those movies.
I reckon he's fully on the TLJ train. He always seemed like the fact that he said fuck you to a director, which is something that he's like argued against.
I think he is now. Like, and at the time of this, he is. But I think he almost had to like will himself into that position.
Fair enough.
that I liked but pushed the story forward into unexpected new territory. And it created countless possibilities for future new stories.
What do you mean TLJ is the most closed off ending you'll ever get?
How the fuck do you follow that?
Yeah,
It's the meme.
the First Order rules the galaxy. The good guys are 20 dudes on a ship.
It's like, oh, you have so much potential. Like, what are you talking about?
In this world. And I think that's the key. It's not that we're supposed to let the past die. It's that we need to accept that there's a future as well.
Shut what's happening?
Don't just let the past die. Remember, there's a
Shut
future
up
as
about
well.
TLJ. That's not what this video is.
Yeah, this ending is more equipped for like an hour-long video. It's like, we just rushed through some stuff, and he's like, now for my triumphant ending. You're like, what? What?
After saying fucking nothing for 17 minutes, time for my incredible ending.
A future with a hell of a lot of Star Wars in it. And it's going to be a lot of different things. We'll like some, we might not like some others. But every
God.
one of these
It would be
movies
nice
is
if I
going to
liked
be
some.
somebody's
That would
favorite.
be great.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and
I mean, it's better than the sequels, just saying.
Yeah, this line is absolutely better than the sequels, easily, not even close. This line makes sense for him to say.
Compare it to Knights of Ren, ghouls. I don't even like.
They don't know which way's up out there.
I want the Knight of Ren at the end to turn around and go, huh?
Huh?
What did you just say? And he goes,
Why'd you say that? Oh, he said cool.
Just-
Knights of Ren, cool.
Well, imagine owning it. You'd be like, I said ghouls. He's like, what do you mean ghouls? Why are you saying that we're ghouls? And he's like, I don't really know. He was just in the script.
weird, and you never say anything up till now, and you have all these masks all the time, and you disappeared in the last movie.
Yeah, where were you?
"Oh,
We were
could've
searching
used
for
you."
Exegol.
rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere.
So beautiful.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh.
Boo.
Are we getting like an
there's
ad?
like 2 minutes to go.
Does he have an Avengers style stinger?
Hey guys,
we have-
thank you so
oh,
much
the-
for
the
watching.
Shave
This topic has been
Cups
on my mind for like 6 months now, so it felt good to finally take some time.
You didn't do anything with this topic.
You
You just
didn't
said
say
everyone
anything.
wants the OT. That's what everyone fucking
worthless.
says when they casually talk about this.
You
You
just
said-
sat on a couch with your fucking modem on the floor and didn't say anything. You went to the woods.
He
That's
made
the
it
most
seem
you
like this huge, arduous fucking task to discover the truth that is, everyone really likes the OT. I guess they just want a repeat of the OT. There you go, that's my thesis.
This is just
Whoa.
going to be in
Incredible.
sponsorship now and Patreon.
Time and dig. Now, while you were watching this video, I'm sure there was one big question that was on your mind, which is, what kind of grooming products does he use?
Yeah,
and
Dollar General's format.
Why would he bring that up? Don't.
Why?
Terrible segue.
95% of shaving equipment is identical to one another, and it works perfectly.
He has Mr. Burns' hair, almost.
Is it not a lot of it?
You just watched a segment from Every Frame a Pause, or EFAP. Hosted by YouTubers Mahler, Rags, and Fringy, and joined by a cycling variety of guests across the internet, they critically analyze media with exhaustive detail while pausing at every single frame. Subscribe to Mahler's channel to catch new episodes live on Saturdays, and tune into the EFAP channel to see full episodes, movie and TV commentaries, and gaming streams. You can also subscribe here to EFAP Highlights for daily highlights, supercuts, and shorts. Links to all the relevant channels can be found in the description section below, as well as links to the original videos and ways to support the crew. Thanks for watching.